Picture this. The Earth, scarred by a catastrophic event, now teeters on the edge of survival. Amid the ruins, colossal mechs, their metal skins gleaming in the shattered sunlight, are the last line of defense. These aren't just machines. They are hunters, forged from the ashes of a dying world, battling for dominance over a mysterious resource, Starfall. But are these mechs truly the future of humanity? Or are they just tools in a game far larger than we can comprehend? Steel. Hunters promises to deliver an adrenaline-pumping, action-packed journey into the heart of this desperate struggle. The studio behind it asks a bold question. What if mech combat could feel like Mech Warrior but with an edge? What if these towering giants could be more than just hulking warriors? They could become heroes, or perhaps villains. The battlefield becomes more than just a series of objectives. It's a test of survival. Can you outlast the others? Or will you become just another casualty in this war-torn world? But here's the twist. Steel Hunters isn't just about brute strength. Beneath the chaos of towering mechs and explosive firefights, there lies something far more sinister, a world on the brink of collapse, and a race for resources that could reshape humanity's future. As factions vie for control, you're thrust into a world that feels both alien and intimately familiar. The deeper you dive, the more you realize the true nature of your fight. Is this about survival? Or is there something darker at play? The excitement is palpable, but there's more lurking beneath the surface. Will Steel Hunters give you the ultimate mech combat experience, or will it leave you questioning your place in this twisted world? Keep watching. The journey has only just begun, and what you discover may haunt you long after the game ends. Gameplay. Overview. What Steel Hunters really is. From the moment you step into the cockpit of your massive mech, Steel Hunters promises a thrilling journey into an adrenaline-fueled world of destruction. But what exactly is it? At its core, Steel Hunters is a third-person PvPvE shooter that attempts to blend the best elements of competitive multiplayer with explosive mech combat. Here, mechs aren't just machines, they're heroes, in their own right, with players battling for supremacy in an ever-changing war zone. But as with any promising new title, the devil is in the details. The game offers two distinct modes that give players the freedom to choose their style of play. Last Stand and Skirmish. Last Stand pits 12 players against a variety of AI-controlled drones. The objective is simple: survive and gather resources. As you eliminate drones, you level up your mech, unlocking powerful abilities and upgrading your stats. But there's a catch. This mode doesn't quite live up to its potential. With only 2-player squads in a 12-player game, the action can feel far less chaotic than you might expect. Tension? Yes. Thrills? Sometimes. But in a world full of mechs, where's the mayhem? Skirmish. On the other hand, is a more traditional PvE mode where players face off against waves of AI enemies, allowing you to familiarize yourself with different objectives and test your strategy in non-lethal scenarios. While this might sound like a fun way to learn the ropes, it soon becomes clear that the enemy AI doesn't offer much of a challenge. There's only one type of enemy drone, and their attacks consist mostly of missile strikes, making the experience feel rather one-dimensional and repetitive. The beauty of Steel Hunters, however, lies in its promise of massive mech combat and dynamic battlefield environments. Piloting these enormous machines is exhilarating. The feeling of controlling a hulking metallic giant, smashing through obstacles and taking on waves of drones is nothing short of exciting. There's a certain thrill that comes with engaging in combat, strategically positioning your mech, and watching it transform into a deadly force as it levels up with better stats and abilities. The visuals are rich and detailed, and the sound design delivers the weight and power of every movement, reinforcing that you're not just playing. You're a part of this brutal battle for survival. But despite these high points, Steel Hunters has some serious issues that hold it back. Match flow quickly falls flat due to the relatively low player count. With only 12 players in each match and limited squad sizes, the game fails to create the large-scale, chaotic battles that mech fans crave. Many matches quickly devolve into small, isolated skirmishes, often feeling more like a PvPvE showdown than a massive clash of titans. The lack of chaos and unpredictability can be frustrating for players expecting a truly dynamic battlefield. Moreover, the large gameplay loop can quickly become repetitive. Once you've reached the highest levels of your mech and unlocked most of the available upgrades, there's little left to do, but rush to the extraction point. The excitement of taking on drones fades, and the satisfaction of upgrading your mech gives way to the realization that the game lacks deeper, more rewarding mechanics. The battle for Kai are TITANFALL shards. The in-game currency feels underwhelming, as most players reach the same outcome regardless of whether they win or lose, leaving the feeling of Steel Hunters, despite its potential, somewhat hollow. While the world of Steel Hunters and the thrill of piloting massive mechs certainly create an exciting premise, the PvP match structure and overall lack of depth can leave you wondering if the game is truly living up to its potential. The issues with progression and match flow. While Steel Hunters promises exhilarating mech combat and an action-packed battlefield, it's a progression system, and the flow of matches reveal some frustrating limitations that undermine its potential. The game's mechanics, though intriguing at first, eventually fall into repetitive patterns that make the experience feel stagnant. One of the primary draws of Steel Hunters is the TITANFALL upgrade system, which involves collecting Starfall shards after each match. These shards can be converted into Starfall, a resource used to enhance your mech's abilities and stats. However, this system quickly becomes confusing, especially for newcomers. The addition of Mech and Platinum. Another form of currency used to unlock premium features and upgrade paths only complicates things further. While Platinum isn't a direct microtransaction currency, at least not yet, it serves as the default premium currency in the game, creating confusion around its role in the progression system. For many players, this mix of currencies feels unnecessary and cluttered, detracting from the core experience of leveling up and improving their mechs. The introduction of multiple systems could have been streamlined to make the process more intuitive and engaging, but instead it feels like a chore. When it comes to match flow, things don't get much better. The excitement of mech combat is quickly diluted by the unpredictability of the game's structure. Most matches, especially in the last stand mode, devolve into small-scale 2v2v2 battles, often with AI bots making up the majority of your opponents. While Steel Hunters promises epic, large-scale clashes, the limited number of players per match and the lack of chaos means that battles can feel incredibly tame. Even if you're fighting another human squad, the absence of a truly unpredictable environment makes the action lose its edge. The intensity of the conflict is far from the mech-driven mayhem that many had hoped for, with most encounters becoming little more than routine exchanges of fire. The game's missed opportunities are glaring. There's room to expand on the experience by adding more threat levels, or introducing environmental challenges that keep players on their toes. For example, integrating dynamic events or random encounters could break the monotony and add excitement. Additionally, a more refined matchmaking system could better balance player levels, ensuring that matches are always unpredictable and never fall into the same repetitive patterns. Ultimately, the progression loop feels shallow. Once you've unlocked the majority of the upgrades and leveled up your mech, the thrill of advancing slows down significantly. The endgame quickly becomes a cycle of rushing to the extraction point, without much tension or competition. Players are left with a sense of unfinished business, as if the progression system lacks the depth required to keep them hooked for the long haul. Without further refinement, Steel Hunters risks getting stuck in a cycle where matches feel too short, too predictable, and without the high stakes necessary to make each battle matter. The mechs, what makes them different and what holds them back. In Steel Hunters, the mechs are more than just vehicles. They're the heroes of the battlefield. But while these hulking machines are undoubtedly impressive, they come with their own set of challenges that can make piloting them feel either satisfying or frustrating, depending on your playstyle. One of the most notable features of Steel Hunters is the slow and steady movement of its mechs. Unlike the fast-paced, agile mechs seen in games like Titanfall, these machines feel like massive, lumbering giants that require deliberate control. For some, this might be an appealing aspect. There's something undeniably satisfying about commanding such a powerful, weighty machine. Every step feels meaningful, and the mechanical heft gives you a sense of immense power. However, for others, this slower pace can quickly become a burden. The lack of fluidity in movement can feel cumbersome, especially in fast-paced combat scenarios where quick reaction times are critical. The contrast in speed makes the gameplay feel less dynamic and more like a methodical war of attrition, where tactical patience often replaces thrilling action. The movement mechanics in Steel Hunters add to this sense of weight. Initially, players may feel frustrated with the mechanics of dashing and jumping. Jumping especially feels quite limited. Often, the jumps don't carry enough momentum to overcome obstacles or reach meaningful vantage points. However, these actions serve a purpose. They allow for careful traversal, helping players avoid incoming fire or position themselves strategically. That said, the lack of smoothness in these abilities begs the question: could the game's movement feel more dynamic and intuitive if the dash and jump mechanics were polished? Further, it's a balance that Steel Hunters hasn't quite mastered yet. When it comes to playstyle variety, the mechs in Steel Hunters offer some interesting contrasts. For example, the Ursus is built as a close-range brawler with powerful armor and a short-range cannon designed for aggressive, up-close combat. On the other hand, the Soccer favors hit-and-run tactics, striking fast and retreating before the enemy can respond. These differences provide some level of tactical diversity, but they feel somewhat limited. Are these mechs diverse enough to satisfy players looking for varied and strategic combat, or do they feel too one-dimensional? The lack of extensive customization in their abilities only adds to the feeling that these mechs aren't fully realized in terms of playstyle depth. Visually, the mechs bring to mind are Transformers. They're sleek, imposing, and brimming with raw power. The design leans more toward a Gerjar, Michael Bay-style spectacle, with flashy details and over-the-top aesthetics. While this certainly works in creating a visceral atmosphere, it feels somewhat out of place when compared to more grounded, tactical mech combat games. The design is bold, but at times it may feel more like style over substance. So, are the mechs in Steel Hunters truly satisfying to pilot? While the high weight and high power line of these machines create moments of excitement, the sluggishness of their movement, limited abilities, and lack of tactical depth can leave you wondering if they measure up to the high expectations set by other mech combat games. Ultimately, Steel Hunters offers a taste of the thrill of piloting a massive machine, but whether it delivers a truly satisfying experience is still up for debate. Can Steel Hunters evolve the future of the game? Steel Hunters is still in its early access phase, and with that comes both promise and uncertainty. The developers have made it clear that they are committed to expanding the game with new modes, maps, and progression systems in the near future. But the question remains: can these updates address the current shortcomings and bring the game to life in a way that will keep players engaged long-term? The potential for growth is undoubtedly there. If Steel Hunters can successfully evolve beyond its current limitations, it could become a much more dynamic and thrilling experience. Imagine a game with more chaos, where the battlefield is not just about gathering resources, but also about engaging in unpredictable, high-stakes encounters. Adding new objectives, environmental challenges, and richer AI behaviors could completely shift the pace and intensity of each match. transforming it from a light extraction shooter into a full-fledged, heart-pounding battle for survival. With the right improvements, the game could offer a deeper, more engaging experience that players will return to time and time again. But the real question is, will it live up to expectations? The groundwork is there, but whether Steel Hunters can fix its hum progression issues and create a truly immersive mech combat experience which remains uncertain. Will the developers be able to inject the game with enough hum variety and a chaos on darts to prevent the gameplay from feeling stagnant? Only time will tell. In conclusion, Steel Hunters has undeniable potential, but in order to captivate its audience and truly shine, it needs significant improvements in both gameplay depth and progression systems. For now, the future is a bit unclear, but it's worth keeping an eye on. As updates roll out and the game evolves, Steel Hunters might just become the game mech enthusiasts have been waiting for. Stay tuned. This might just be the beginning of something much greater. Steel Hunters certainly has the potential to become a standout in the mech combat genre, but its future remains uncertain. Can it evolve into the next must-play shooter, or will it fall short of expectations and remain a missed opportunity? The game's early access phase offers a glimpse of what's possible, but it still needs significant work to capture players' full attention. What do you think of Steel Hunters so far? Are you excited about its potential, or does it leave you wanting more? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to follow the game's development to see how it evolves in the coming months. Steel Hunters may not have reached its full potential yet, but it's certainly a game worth keeping an eye on. With its exciting premise and a commitment to evolve, it could transform into a must-play title in the future. But for now, it's a work in progress, and only time will tell if it can truly deliver on its promises. What do you think? Does Steel Hunters have what it takes to rise above the competition, or is it just another missed opportunity? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more updates on this game's journey. Let's see where it goes from here.